You ever look at a set of data and just get this feeling that there's more than one thing going on? Like, underneath all that mess, there are a few simple, hidden groups just waiting to be found? Well, that's exactly the kind of puzzle we're going to solve today.
I mean, let's be real for a second. Most data you'll find out in the wild, it's not simple. It's messy, it's lumpy, it's kind of skewed, and it definitely doesn't fit into one perfect little bell curve. And if you try to force it into a simple model, you're going to miss the real story hiding inside.
So what do you do when your data looks like this? With all these different peaks and valleys, how on earth do you find a pattern in it? I mean, how do you even begin to describe something that's clearly not just one group, but a mix of a few? That is the big question we're diving into.
And really, here's the fundamental problem. Trying to use just one of those classic bell curves, a single Gaussian distribution, to explain complex data, it's like trying to describe an entire mountain range by just talking about one single hill. You lose everything, all the interesting peaks, the valleys, all the details that actually matter.
And that brings us to this really elegant solution, the Gaussian Mixture Model, or GMM. And the core idea? It's actually brilliantly simple. What if that messy, lumpy shape we're seeing isn't one super complex thing at all? What if it's just a mixture of a few simple, boring old bell curves all added together?
All right, so let's dive in. We're going to pop the hood on this thing and see what actually makes a GMM tick. And it all starts with one foundational recipe.
Okay, I know. Lots of symbols. But don't let this formula scare you off, seriously. This is just the official recipe for our data mixture. It's the math that tells us exactly how to blend those different bell curves together to create the one complex shape we need to fit our data.
And honestly, this recipe is way simpler than it looks once we break it down. So that px on the left, that's just the final result, the probability of seeing a data point. That big E-looking thing, that's just a sum symbol. It means we're adding stuff up. That little pi symbol, pi k, that's the weight. You can think of it as how much of each ingredient or each group we're throwing into the mix. And the big N, that's just our classic bell curve for each of those individual groups.
And this right here is why GMMs are so incredibly powerful. This quote really gets to the heart of it. Basically, it's saying that if you have enough of these simple bell curve building blocks, you can build a model that fits pretty much any complex, smooth shape you can throw at it. The flexibility is just, wow, it's amazing. Okay, so that's the what. But what about the how? How does the model figure out the perfect size, shape, and location for each of those bell curves? Well, it uses this really clever process called the expectation maximization algorithm. But honestly, I think it's way easier to think of it as a guess and update dance, a little two-step that gets smarter every single time it runs.
So this dance has just 2 steps, and it just repeats them over and over. Step 1 is the E step, for expectation. Here, the algorithm looks at every single data point and basically guesses how likely it is to belong to each of our hidden groups. Then you've got step 2, the M step, for maximization. This is where it takes all those guesses and uses them to update and improve its map of where the groups are and what they look like.
But I have to be clear here. When I say guess, I don't mean it's just random. Oh no, it's a super precise calculation. For every single point, the model computes something called a responsibility. And that's just a fancy word for the probability that a specific group was the one responsible for generating that specific data point.
Okay, so now let's jump to the M step and see how it uses that information. This formula you're seeing? This is how the model updates the center, or the mean, of each bell curve. It's basically taking all the data points, factoring in those responsibilities we just calculated, and finding a new, better center for each group.
The best way to picture this is like a weighted tug of war. Seriously, every single data point is pulling on the center of all the groups, but, and this is the key, it pulls the hardest on the center of the group it most likely belongs to, the one with the highest responsibility. And it's all those little pulls and nudges that slowly but surely drag the bell curves into the perfect spot.
And check this out. This shows the result perfectly. In this example, the model just started with some random guesses for the centers, right, at 2.0 and 5.0. But look what happens after just one round of that E-step, M-step dance. The centers have already shifted to 1.59 and 6.16. They are literally moving closer to where the actual data clusters are. It's learning right before our eyes.
Okay, let's make this even more real. This whole idea of responsibility leads to something called soft assignments. And this is honestly one of the most powerful and coolest features of a GMM. And this is really the game changer that separates GMMs from simpler algorithms like, say, k-means. See, k-means forces every single data point into exactly one box. It's a hard, all-or-nothing choice. But GMMs? They're way more nuanced. They get that sometimes data points live in that gray area right in between the groups.
So let's look at what that actually means. Take a data point like 1.5. Instead of just saying, yep, that's in group 1, the model tells us something much cooler. It says there's a 99.75% chance it belongs to group 1, and hey, a tiny 0.25% chance it belongs to group 2. It's such a richer, more detailed picture of what's really going on.
All right, let's zoom out for a second. We've gone through the how, but let's talk about the why. Like, why does this matter? What are the big advantages that make GMMs such a go-to tool for so many data scientists?
Well, it really boils down to these 4 key powers. First, flexibility. They can model all sorts of complex, lumpy, real-world shapes. Second, those soft assignments we just talked about. They give you a much deeper understanding of the gray areas. Third, you get a full density estimation, basically a complete probability map of your entire data landscape. And finally, and this is super cool, they're generative. That means you can use a trained GMM to create brand new data points that look just like the originals.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. When you start looking for it, you see that so many things in the world aren't just one simple pattern. Think about customer buying habits, or different types of users on a website, or even patterns in nature. A lot of the time, they're really just a mixture of a few hidden groups. So the real question to ask yourself is, what hidden mixtures are shaping the world all around you, just waiting to be found?